Hello, and welcome to the United Federation of Reddit podcast. I'm your host, Big J76.
And I'm Yasmin. I'm a moderator of r/Star Trek GIFs.
On this podcast, we'll be discussing news and events centered around Reddit communities who are members of the United Federation of Reddit. The format of this particular podcast will be less about Star Trek news in the mainstream, as there are already podcasts filling that need, but instead, the focus will be on the Reddit Star Trek community. All combined, the member subreddits under the United Federation of Reddit number approximately 70,000 subscribers.
And how many subreddits do you think that constitutes? That's 70,000 across subs.
That 70,000 is across about 30 different subreddit communities for Star Trek and Star Trek related content. So there are quite a few that we have on the sidebar, which are seen on the sidebar of r/United Federation.
And what sorts of subreddits can we find in there?
There are subreddits that specialize in GIFs, memes, images, discussions, and a lot more. Just to give you some examples, there is Star Trek GIFs, which you are a moderator of, along with myself. There is Treknobabble, a subreddit that specializes in really anything, images, memes, discussions. There's also Star Trek memes. If you want straight memes, which Reddit has a lot of memes, we certainly have a subreddit that specializes in that. On top of that, there are subreddits that center on the actual shows themselves. TOS for the original series, TNG for the next generation, and so forth.
So explain to me what r/Tanagra is.
r/Tanagra. So r/Tanagra, that's an interesting subreddit. The focus of that subreddit is in regards to the language and metaphor that is spoken by the Tamarian species from an episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Very interesting subreddit if you visit. I've learned more Tamarian than I want to admit to knowing, or at least learning their language pattern there.
It's a solid episode too. So. Tell me a little bit more about the actual subreddit, the r/United Federation subreddit.
What the subreddit does is it pulls posts from its members as they are posted. Think of the subreddit as the front page of a newspaper that can take you to communities that you're interested in. The Federation was formed over a year ago, and what it is very much an analogy to the United Federation of Planets, which is an alliance of especially Trek subs on Reddit. So can I post to United Federation with my account, or can a visitor from r/Picard come along and can he post a thread? It doesn't quite work like that. The way that it works is think of it as an RSS feed. So there is a multi-Reddit that one of our members in the United Federation is subscribed to. And the members of that multi-Reddit are the current members of the United Federation of Reddit. And the way that works is think of it as a feed. The subreddit is the front end of that. It gives you that front face to give you that familiar look and feel of a subreddit and a Reddit community. And any member community, member subreddit that makes any post in that subreddit, that is automatically published from that feed and put onto r/United Federation. So if you post a GIF, for example, when you post your GIF in Star Trek GIFs, you wouldn't be posting that directly to United Federation as the subreddit. You would post that to any appropriate member subreddit community. For example, Star Trek GIFs or TOS or r/Picard, if it was a GIF of Captain Picard. And the way that works is then after a few moments, that post is automatically pushed to the subreddit r/United Federation. So it's not a direct posting to the subreddit itself. It would come from wherever you post your content to the member communities. And is there some kind of delay? Like, if I decide to post, if I decide that I'd like people from other Star Trek subreddits to see my information about learning Klingon, and I post to Klingon Hull, how long would it be for them to see it pop up on r/United Federation?
It usually takes a couple minutes. It is really a very fast process. This is not something that takes a half day or a day. It is pretty quick. There's a fast refresh rate on that. So once you post, a comment, or I'm sorry, not a comment, but a post on the Klingon subreddit for the language question, that's going to show up on the United Federation subreddit within moments.
So can you explain to me, I see obviously one of the benefits to having an actual subreddit is that we have a mod team who can, look after it and coordinate. Obviously we've got you, Big J. I see we've got Dead Fraggle from r/TrekNoBabble. How many moderators are there, and what sort of communities are they coming from?
In regards to the moderators there, right now, 6 moderators directly moderating United Federation. And they come from several communities, and there are moderators in the other communities that may not moderate United Federation directly, but we maintain contact with them. And you mentioned Dead Fraggle before, and he's a moderator that started United Federation over a year ago, with the goal to take these smaller niche Star Trek subreddits and to bring them together in a cooperative sharing of content. And right now, the United Federation is being watched over and managed by myself. I saw it as a very good concept, a great idea. One of the things that you may notice on Reddit is that there are a lot of different communities for different things. And it seemed like the Star Trek ecosystem on Reddit was spreading out kind of everywhere. So I thought this United Federation of Reddit was a great idea, great concept that just needed to be kickstarted again. So I work with the other mods of that subreddit and talk to them about, hey, let's make this something again. We've got this sidebar that has some subreddit communities that have unfortunately gone inactive. They're not not around as much. So let's prune that list. Let's make it to where the experience that subscribers get when they see it is that they're pointed to communities that we're helping to promote and grow. And that's one of the things that is the goal of the United Federation of Reddit and this podcast is to discuss the goings on in our related subreddits and the content from various member subreddits. So it's not just one person or 2 people that are providing content to the member subs of United Federation. It's all of us. It's all of us working collectively as a group.
So if I start my own, if I decide to start a spin-off subreddit, let's call it r/Discovery Gifts. How would I get my subreddit to be part of the United Federation?
That part is pretty simple, and that's if you create a subreddit because you've seen that Star Trek Discovery as a subreddit, and they are a member of United Federation of Reddit. It has discussion content, some GIFs, maybe some memes, but you decide you want to have a GIF subreddit that is purely Star Trek Discovery GIFs. Well, the way you go about being a member of the United Federation of Reddit is simply to approach us. If we are not aware of your subreddit, it's something you just created, but you do know about us, all you need to do is send a mod mail to the mod team of r/United Federation to say, this is my subreddit. This is what it's about. I would like to be a part of your group. We simply refer you to a post that is on United Federation to, if you would like for your subreddit, to put a banner. There's a banner that you can have on the sidebar that it's a nice thing that just shows kind of that whole group and community feel. And then, of course, we add your subreddit to the current members list on the sidebar and part of the feed, so that when you do post that Star Trek Discovery GIF, it gets picked up and sent to the subreddit r/United Federation. And at that point, that's really all it takes. Now, there is a trick to that. There's a little bit of a caveat to this. You recall how I said before, we want to have subscribers coming in to be pointed to subreddits that are active.
Right.
It wouldn't be. I don't think it would be a good a good showing if we're bringing subscribers in and then they see a sidebar that's full of inactive or dead subreddits. And if you look at the sidebar of United Federation, the current members there, that's less than it was when I took over and started running it again. So the ones you see here, not that there's a rule or a hard guideline, but what we do ask, we do ask of the subreddit member communities, if you traditionally go a month in between posts or longer, then you may not be on the sidebar. We want to help you, and we want to help with the content in the community, but it would not help us or yourself if your subreddit is going very long in between posts, because as a Reddit subscriber, you'd like to see content, whether you are actively participating in that or not. If you're pointed to subreddits that are dead, you're going to stop visiting.
So if it's just me and 5 other guys in my r/Discovery GIFs, we've got maybe one GIF being posted every 6 weeks, I'm probably not going to be suited to r/United Federation then.
Well, technically you are correct. You probably wouldn't be suited to United Federation, but here's the thing. Here's what we do. You're talking about Star Trek Discovery GIFs, and there is a whole platform of content where that stuff is coming from. There is a GIF, Star Trek GIF subreddit where those things are coming from. So I would think it's very hard for a subreddit like that to go 6 weeks in between GIFs, in between content, because there is that collective sharing of content. I wouldn't see any reason for any GIF subreddit that is Star Trek related to go that long in between getting content.
And I see, just having a look through some of these subreddits, r/Attackwing, which is of course devoted to tabletop gaming, even has 605 subscribers at the moment, and even they're reasonably active. So every subreddit that is part of this greater community. If we look at r/STA game as well, every subreddit that's part of this greater community is reasonably active, and collectively, I guess we can all help each other grow.
Yes, and one of the things that it is not quite apparent right now, but was before we made the big kick to jumpstart United Federation again, is the subscriber counts you're looking at are higher than what it was a few weeks ago. We made a big push. There's a big push done, especially in Star Trek GIFs, to talk about and promote these other subreddits, to talk about United Federation. And amongst the other subreddits, Star Trek memes, Treknobabble, etc. We made a big push again to talk about United Federation and to bring attention to the members that were on the sidebar. And of course, made sure that we noted that if you were a subscriber or a visitor to r/United Federation in the past, you'll notice now that there is a leaner list on the sidebar. It's going to be more of the active communities. If you had come before and you saw, well, hey, these places have not, gotten any traffic in a while. That was one of the biggest goals that we hope to change, so that you do see a bump in subscriber numbers. You do see more people coming in, and one of the nice things about it, an early success to this, is there's content that's been flowing amongst the different member subreddits. You are seeing people that you had only seen in a couple different subreddits that are now spreading and expanding to, putting their content in. For example, data. You've got a GIF or meme about data. Lo and behold, there's Mr. Data, r/Mr. Data. That's a subreddit. And Yaz, one of the things that I have heard and have seen in comments often is, I didn't know that was a sub. I didn't know that existed.
Yeah, there's a few like that too.
Yes, yeah. So you could spend an entire day just rooting through the sidebar, looking at all this content, and you're gonna I will guarantee you will find a subreddit you did not know existed that will suddenly become one of your favorites. And the nice thing about it is, when you see it there, odds are it's going to be an active community. There's not going to be that kind of, oh wow, look at this Star Trek music. That sounds very interesting. And when you go there, you're going to be greeted by a subreddit that has some content, and it just they're going to be getting a little bit more of a push. They have 169 subscribers. Last post was a couple weeks ago, but that is the hope of United Federation, is to bring the exposure, because that's the thing. Is when you have these, that's the big thing, is the exposure. When you have these subreddits, you need exposure, because it's, how am I going to grow my subreddit? I would like for people to know about it. However, I need help in regards to, how do I get the word out as to what this is, and how do I do it without spamming other communities? Because
that's right.
If a subreddit like Star Trek music takes Star Trek music and posts it in r/music or some mainstream subreddit, it's not going to go. They'll be lucky to get the default one upvote that you get, and you try to mention that, and you get pushed out of the community, because they're not looking at that. They're not wanting to hear that. And that is a thing that can hinder a promising subreddit, is when you are looking for a platform to make your community known. And I'll just be.
We've all got quite a few. Altogether, if you actually scroll down, if you go to r/United Federation, you have a look. It's pretty active. There's a lot of content there already. In the past couple hours alone, there's a good couple of dozen threads. So it seems like there's always stuff coming in, and these are from all different subreddits relating to Star Trek. So I think, even if you're just looking for a good broad scope of what's going on in our greater community, I think it's a good resource.
It's a good place to start. It's a good landing page, because if you subscribe to several different communities, but you want to have a overall worldview as to what's happening, that is why we have a subreddit, and not just have people try to subscribe to a multi-Reddit. Because when you subscribe to and you view r/United Federation, you get that more familiar. And even if you're on mobile, because we know we have the high percentage of audience for Reddit is on mobile. You can view this the same way on mobile. You can get the same feed. You get highlights. You get highlights of the posts from the different members, and you can see basically what's in the news. For example, STO, r/STO, which is based on the Star Trek Online video game. That gets a lot of traffic. If you look at United Federation, there's quite a few posts from that subreddit, because that is an active game that's getting active content. We like to call it in season. That subreddit is in season. Star Trek Discovery. We're going to be getting more Discovery content here soon, and we have been. That's in season,
and it is a growing subreddit.
It is. It is a growing subreddit. And Picard, r/Picard, with the announcement of the new Picard series for Star Trek, that subreddit is going to be prime for growing, because there's going to be all of this content coming in, news, stories, old Picard scenes, GIFs, all kinds of things. So the communities like that are primed to get an influx of more people coming in. If you like role play, there's Trek RP, r/Trek RP, a great role playing community. So there's, like you can see, I mean, I'm sitting here looking at all of these.
Yeah,
when
there's all
I
sorts
have
of
been
stuff.
looking at these, there's a lot.
I didn't know about r/Attackwing until I had first subscribed to r/United Federation, and that's an interesting game. I mean, it's sort of like it looks like something like a Star Trek version of Warhammer 40K. So it's interesting. And something I notice is that, I mean, if you're scrolling through a subreddit like this, if you're actually running a subreddit and you're running a much smaller subreddit, you've got 170 subs or something like that, you might just find something from this subreddit that's worth cross-posting.
Absolutely. And that's the thing that helps, is the cross-posting that I mentioned to you. We touched on a subreddit that's looking for means to make themselves better known and to really get out there. Well, that's the helping hand of United Federation. If you are in Star Trek Discovery GIFs and you have this GIF from Star Trek Discovery, say from one of the short treks, or when the second season starts and you have something from the second season, and you're trying to figure out, well, how can I get exposure to my subreddit? How do I get this out there to where someone besides myself will see this content? And that's where it comes back to being a part of United Federation, because there are other subreddits where that content would be suitable and would fit. Subreddits that have the subscriber count that will help bring exposure to your subreddit and to help you grow. So it's taking that whole collection and the people. And then, like I mentioned before, if you take these current members, all these current members on the sidebar, and you add up their subscriber numbers, we're talking about 70,000 subscribers.
So, I mean, it's a pretty decent size too.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
That's a lot of exposure, especially if you're running a subreddit that's numbering in the triple digits. All of a sudden, you've potentially got a greater range.
You do. Yes, 70,000 is really nothing to look down your nose at. That's not bad. Now you may be thinking, well, why would I want to promote, try to grow my sub amongst United Federation when I can jump right to our Star Trek, for example? Everyone's going to go to our Star Trek. They have over 100,000 subscribers. That's where you want to do it. Well, okay, you're not entirely incorrect, but again, here's the thing: there's a good chance of getting lost in the shuffle.
That's right. And I think there's a certain concern of breadth. There's a subreddit like that is great, but, and somebody might ask me, like, Yasmin, how come, why don't I just post my content to, r/Star Trek GIFs or something? But, what's the benefit of something showing up on United Federation? And it's really, in terms of promotion, there's a benefit to it, because if you look at that sidebar and you look at all these different communities and people that are going to r/United Federation are from all over the place, and that can really help you out.
We hope that you subscribe to our Reddit community and enjoy this podcast so you can see just how rich and unique content created by the greater Star Trek community can be. I am Big J76. I was here with Yasmin. Thank you very much for coming in today, Yasmin.
Thanks for listening, guys.
And as Q would say, see you out there.